Hello, students. Today we will see the new poem. The name of the poem is A Thing of Beauty, written by John Keats. About the poet John Keats. John Keats was born in London in the year 1795 and died in Rome in 1821 at the young age of 25 due to illness. He was a British Romantic poet. Although trained to be a surgeon, Keats decided to devote himself wholly to the to poetry. And his poetry is characterized by sensual imagery in his most popular work, which is a series of odes. Now, what is ode? A lyrical poem which is meant for a particular subject. Today, his poems are one of the most sought after creations in English literature. The above given poetry is an excerpt from his poem Endymion, a poetic romance which he completed in the year 1818. Considered to be an epic. So, Endymion is considered as an epic. Now, background of the poem A Thing of Beauty. It's based on Greek mythology about a shepherd named Endymion, his quest for his love Dinah, and how in his quest he falls in love with an earthly maiden who later turns out to be Dinah herself. Now we will see the paraphrase or the summary of the poem A Thing of Beauty. A Thing of Beauty is a poem taken from the poem titled Endymion, a poetic romance written by famous poet John Keats. The poet says that a beautiful thing is a source of endless joy. It has eternal beauty which never fades away. A beautiful thing is like a shady shelter which gives us a sleep full of sweet dreams, good health, and relaxation. Our attachments to the early earthly things are like a flowery wreath. They are trap which bind us to the materialistic things and keeps us away from eternal happiness. The earth is full of hatred, greed, and negativity. According to the poet, the gloom and sadness caused by this negativity fades away with the positive vibes of beautiful things that surround us. The poet John Keats lists out some of the beautiful things that surround us. As the saying goes, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. He says that the numerous creations of God, like the sun, which gives us energy, the moon's beauty, the trees, which give us shade, are the natural beauties around us. The various animals, like the sheep that surround us, make our world lively. The pretty flowers, like daffodils, make the world green and lively. The flowing streams of water cool and refresh us in the hot summer season. The forests, which are full of pretty musk rose flowers, are a beautiful sight to the eye. All this are the things of beauty. Also, the stories of the brave soldiers who laid their lives to protect their people are beautiful and inspiring. These beautiful things are like a fountain of immortality bestowed upon us by God. They inspire us to live on and maintain our faith in goodness. Now, students, we will see a poem, A Thing of Beauty. I will read line by line and then we will see difficult words as well as explanation. Now, in your textbook, Flamingo, this poem is given on page number 98. You can keep it ready. And here on the slide also, first five lines have been written. So you can see and pay attention. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Its loveliness increases. It will never pass into nothingness, but will keep a bower quiet for us, and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. Bower. Bower means a shady place under the tree. Another difficult word, pass into nothingness, means to become extinct. My dear students, here you can also see the rhyming pattern. Forever rhymes with never. So A, keep, another sound. So B, sleep, B, and breathing. So when you read a poem, try to also look at the rhyming pattern. In the above lines, John Keats, our poet, says that a thing of beauty is a joy forever. It means, according to him, beauty stays forever. It never fades away. Rather, it increases with the passing time. The perception of the poet regarding beauty is that it never goes off with the passing time. Rather, it beauties more and more. Its beauty keeps on increasing, in other words. For the poet, beauty is like a beautiful shady tree under whose shade all the creatures can sleep peacefully and enjoy good health. And even they can have sweet dreams also when they are enjoying that sound sleep. Here you are given the picture of beautiful uh, natural scene where you can see various beautiful natural objects or things that we are gifted with: trees, rills, that is the stream of water, clouds, etc. Another few lines. Therefore, on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth, spite of despondence, of the inhuman dearth of noble nature, of the gloomy days, of all the unhealthy and over darkened ways, made for our searching. Yes, in spite of all, some shape of beauty moves away the pall from our dark spirit. Difficult words. Morrow means the following day. Wreathing means surrounding or encircling. Despondence means depression or depressed or hopelessness. Another difficult word is gloomy, that is sad. My dear students, gloomy it is adjective, gloominess it is noun form. Pal. Pal means sadness. Dearth means shortage. Here the poet says that every day it is the beautiful thing which fills us with the spirit to live. It is the beauty which builds the desire in us to live live even though there are sad moments, cruel people around us. So here the poet wants to say that without beauty, the earth will be full of cruel people, sad and gloomy moments. It is the beauty which is created by God which helps us to remove the sadness from our heart. So, in spite of we are surrounded by what hopelessness, inhuman death means we find the shortage of crisis or shortage of good people who are really human beings. In spite of shortage of noble people, noble nature means noble people. In spite of sad days, days full of sorrows and sadness. In spite of unhealthy, here unhealthy means in spite of unhealthy practices going on and over darkened ways. Yet, in spite of all this negativity around us, there are some shape of beauty that take away the pall means sadness and sorrow from our dark spirit. Another few lines. Such the sun, the moon, trees, old and young, sprouting a shady boon for simple sheep, and such are daffodils, with the green world they live in, and clear rills that for themselves a cooling covert make against the hot season, the mid forest break. Difficult words. Boon means blessing. Rills means a small stream. When you are writing article A here, write here singular, stream, singular, not plural. Hmm. So here rills plural given, so here you will write streams and then you will not write article A. Break means a thick mass of ferns and the another word of meaning of this word is process to slow down. Daffodils means bright yellow flowers. Covered means cover or hidden. In the above lines, the poet describes the beautiful things which are present on earth. These are the sun, moon, trees, whether they are young or old, flowers, that is daffodils, and the rivers. Poet says that all these things are like a blessing bestowed on all the creatures by earth. He further describes that the trees provide us with their shade, flowers with their beauty and fragrance, rivers with their coolness during the hot summer season. All of these are the beauties of nature which are like a boon for us. So all these beautiful things they remove sadness from our. Now my dear students, last few lines means last 6 lines. Rich with a sprinkling of fair musk rose blooms, and such too is the grandeur of the domes we have imagined for the mighty dead, all lovely tales that we have heard or read, an endless fountain of immortal drink pouring unto us from the heaven's brink. Now, few difficult words. Grandeur means high rank, socially important, or another meaning is splendor or greatness. Mighty means enormous. Mighty means strong or brave also. Immortal means never dying, in other words, eternal. Brink means edge. Musk rose, a wild rose that has a musk scent. Immortal drink means nectar, magical potion. Heaven's brink means door to God's home. In the above lines, the poet further carries on with the description of the more beautiful things present on earth, such as the beautiful musk roses, which have such a nice fragrance. Then he describes the tales, that is, the story of the mighty warriors who laid their lives for their country or for humanity. Poet says that these beautiful things are the gifts from God for all of us. They are like a nectar given by God to us. And these are those beauties, that is, the beautiful things which are immortal and give us a reason to live on this earth despite of having so many sorrows, problems in our life. So now I hope students that you have understood all the lines, meanings as well as explanation of the poetry. Now let us see figures of speech taking line from the poetry. First line, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. In this line, various figures of speech are used, like metaphor, epigram, paradox, hyperbole. Epigram, a pointed set statement that beautiful things bring joy forever. Paradox. Paradox is a figure of speech, and here an outwardly false statement but having a hidden truth that beautiful things do bring continuous joy. So apparently the statement seems very strange to believe, but if you see minutely, the statement is right. Hyperbole. Hyperbole means overstatement. Here an overstatement is given that beautiful things bring joy forever. Second one, its loveliness increases, it will never pass into nothingness. Figure of speech is litotes and antithesis. How litotes will say? The negative never pass into nothingness conveys a positive meaning that it will continue to increase. Pass into nothingness, negative is used for positive affirmation, and antithesis means opposite words increase and nothingness are used in the same sentence for poetic effect. Third line means the next line, but will keep a bower quiet for us and a sleep full of sweet dreams and health and quiet breathing. In this line, figure of speech is climax, oxymoron, metaphor, and repetition. Now, how climax? Ascending order of ideas, that is, sweet dream, health, and quiet breathing are arranged. in ascending order. That's why it is a climax. Oxymoron. Opposite words are used: quiet and breathing. Quiet means quiet without any noise, and breathing. Both opposite words are put side by side together. That's why it is oxymoron. Metaphor. There is indirect comparison between the feeling of refreshment between a cool shady place and peace given by beautiful things. In other words, calmness of the bower is compared to calming effect of beautiful things. Repetition. Repetition is a figure of speech where the word is repeated. Here the word quiet is repeated twice. Next, therefore on every morrow are we wreathing a flowery band to bind us to the earth. Here the figure of speech is metaphor, anastrophe. Now how metaphor? Here there is an indirect comparison between beautiful things and a flowery band. I repeat, there is an indirect comparison between beautiful things and a flowery band. The point of comparison is that they connect us to the earth. Another figure of speech is anastrophe. Anastrophe, you know, figure of speech, my dear students, where the sentence construction is totally changed. First place is of subject, then verb, and then object, as far as the English language is concerned. And this sentence construction is totally change or in reverse. That is a figure of speech anastrophe. So I repeat, anastrophe is also known as inversion. So there is an inversion in the construction of the sentence for poetic effect. So we can take anastrophe also.